reflect those of station staff, management, and advertisers.
All right, what's up, everybody? A very happy Wednesday to all of you. Obviously a very busy news day. There's a lot to talk about today. In the midst of a government shutdown, Republicans are lying, blaming Democrats. We'll get into that and explain. The very talented and awesome Adam Mockler is going to be joining us at the bottom of the hour. Boy, he's gotten into some spirited debates with Ben Ferguson, Kevin O'Leary, and Scott Jennings over the course of the last few weeks. So really looking forward to talking to Adam. Really bright, intelligent young man. And he will be joining us coming up at the bottom of the hour. Of course, we have Leonard in studio today co-hosting with me, and there certainly is a lot to talk about today. Of course, the government shutdown being one of the main topics of discussion, Leonard. There's a lot to get into today, and including the J.D. Vance, Caroline, the liar Levitt.
Oh, that was embarrassing.
Press conference today, and excuses that Republicans are making for this racist AI video that Donald Trump put out there. So there's a lot to get to, but before I get to the government shutdown, before we talk about that, some more very disappointing numbers in the private sector this morning, and this is how CNBC covered it anyway. Donald Trump says that, the economy's great, everything's booming, everything's headed in the right direction. Well, every single time we get one of these reports out, it seems like someone gets fired. This is how CNBC handled these new numbers that just came out this morning.
What we got, because as Rick said, very disappointing. It was a weak number. So this is private sector jobs. Total comes in negative. 32,000. And that was a surprise because economists were looking for an increase of 51,000. It's the biggest monthly drop since March 2023. Also, the revision was not good. August was revised down sharply. The month now showing, as you can see, or actually can't see, but August goes down to negative 3,000 compared to the initial read of 54,000. There's the August revision. So 2 weak months in a row. If you look, private sector payrolls have now dropped in 3 of the last 4 months, according to ADP. And if you look beneath the surface, you can see where the job losses were. Small and medium-sized businesses saw bigger declines than large businesses, which actually saw job growth. But guys, if you take the report and you compare it, some people say, oh, it's not really correlated with the government jobs report. Well, the reason I think that people are paying attention to it today is, first of all, we're not going to likely get that government jobs report on Friday, but also look at the correlation. I mean, the direction is in the right mode. Like they dip at the same time, they rise at the same time. I think it gives you a good sense, at the very least, of the trend on job growth. This is ADP private sector versus the traditional monthly jobs report that we get on Friday, where the market pays really close attention to. So I think it's a good indication that the labor market is softening and that employers are a little more cautious when it comes to hiring and even paying. Carl, in terms of compensation, job changer pay growth declined 6.6%.
Yeah, so basically, in layman's terms, Leonard, Trump is bankrupting farmers. We all know that's the case. Raising prices basically on everything. The jobs and this tariff mania are just killing jobs. And Republicans are going to have to own all of this. This is not the fault of Joe Biden.
I agree with her. I don't think the jobs report is going to come out Friday. And if it does, I think it's probably going to be, how could I say, inaccurate. Because I think that the Republicans and Donald Trump I don't know who they think they're going to lose, but they don't want the country to know that we're going in the wrong direction, because he's supposed to be Mr. Economy. I'm going to fix everything. I went shopping the other day. I spent about $150, and I got 2 small bags of groceries. I didn't really even get anything.
It's getting terrible.
Just basics.
But apparently America First is $20 billion bailout.
Argentina and then America.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. Yeah, America First is a $20 billion bailout of Argentina, apparently. And the U.S. economic development of Gaza. Apparently that's America First. NATO equivalent security guarantees for Qatar, That's also America First, apparently.
Took $18 billion this morning from New York City infrastructure.
Yeah, but it gets worse. As you all may know by now, we are in the midst of a government shutdown. Yeah. Before we get to the why and the lies, this is what J.D. Vance had to say yesterday. He was sitting there with Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer in the Oval Office, and he said the most important part of that meeting is that there were Donald Trump 2028 hats there that made the minority leader, J.D. Vance claims, in both the House and the Senate very uncomfortable. Listen to this.
President Trump, he shared some pictures from the Oval Office meeting with Chuck Schumer and with Hakeem Jeffries, with Speaker Johnson and with Thune. And we wanted to ask you about any insight into that meeting, because the last shutdown, Mr. Vice President, was 35 days. Americans can't go, here are the pictures, Americans cannot go that long without getting a paycheck or being furloughed. So can you give us some insight into what they talked about, maybe how we can come to a compromise?
And the hats.
The Trump trolling them with 28 hats.
Yeah, thank you, Lawrence. That's the most important part. There were also the Trump 2028 hats, which I think made the majority or the minority leader in both the House and the Senate very uncomfortable. But look,
it should make them uncomfortable.
It didn't make necessarily the people in the room uncomfortable. They were brought out in the middle of the meeting when they were supposed to have a serious talk about this possible government shutdown. And they did it for a photo opportunity. And I'm pretty sure Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries, if you asked them about it, they would say it was very stupid and a bizarre stunt. And I guess the idiots that watch Fox News thought it was funny. But it's not funny, because now there are people that are not getting a paycheck. There are very, very important...
the Trump administration, they're all getting their paychecks.
Oh, sure.
Right? Military, no paycheck.
Yeah.
Government workers, public employees, no paycheck. But you know what? Everybody else in the regime is getting their paycheck, no problem. No one has a problem with that? MAGAs don't have a problem with that?
I'll tell you, I have a problem with that, but I also have a problem with the lies that we're going to focus on now being put forth by the right, blaming Democrats. Now, I have the proof right in front of me. It's a blatant lie what they are saying. Let's start with J.D. Vance, though. J.D. Vance saying that the reason why Democrats want a government shutdown is because they think Trump is a dictator, which is obviously a lie, but have a listen to this.
And people are going to suffer because of it. I mean, people who benefit from low-income food programs are going to suffer because of this. If you're flying today, I hope, of course, you arrive safely and on time, but you may not arrive on time because the TSA and the air traffic controllers are not getting paid today. Our military is not getting paid today, starting today. And obviously, the longer this drags on, the worse that it is for the American people. So we are where we are. And to your point, what do Senate Democrats ask for? Well, initially, they said that they wanted to shut down the government because Donald Trump was a dictator. Okay, that's absurd. Then they said they wanted to shut down the government because they wanted hundreds of billions of dollars for health care benefits for illegal aliens. That, of course, is also absurd. And now they're saying they just want to work on ensuring that Americans have low-cost health care. Well, I agree with them. Of course, we all want to ensure that Americans have low-cost health care, so let's work together on that.
Those are blatant lies. Now, we will get to Mike Johnson in a moment, because he also is spewing the lie that Democrats want health care for all illegals. That is a lie. Let me give you the facts. The fact of the matter is that illegals cannot receive premium tax breaks in the ACA or Medicaid.
Correct.
People who are here illegally have never been eligible for Obamacare subsidies, Medicare or Medicaid.
They cannot go on the exchange and get Obamacare.
Correct. Number two, what Democrats have been trying to do is undo the changes that would affect refugees and asylum seekers, not people who cross the border illegally. That's what Democrats are trying to do, and they don't want 15 million Americans losing their health care coverage. But here is Mike Johnson on television yesterday, blatantly lying to the American people, spewing the lie that Democrats want to give health care to all illegals. Listen to this.
This morning, the Democratic proposal is designed to prevent millions of Americans from losing their health insurance, losing Medicaid coverage, or paying higher health care premiums. Why are you against that?
That's an absurd statement what you said there. Let's be clear about what happened last night, George. No, George, let me tell you what happened last night. Everybody can go and review the facts for themselves. 44 Senate Democrats voted to reject a clean, nonpartisan continuing funding resolution to keep the United States government open. The Democrats said instead that they wanted to give health care to illegal aliens instead of keeping critical services provided for the American citizens. That's what happened, plain and simple.
No, it's not.
A lie.
That is a bald-faced lie. At no point did Democrats strike a motion or make any claims that they wanted to give all illegals free health care, or any illegals for that matter. That is a lie. And Caitlin Collins, who I think is a very good journalist, who does a very good job on CNN, pointed out exactly what I just pointed out to Mike Johnson's face and made him look like the fool that he is. Have a listen to this.
People who are here in the United States legally have never been eligible for the Obamacare subsidies, for Medicare, for Medicaid. So what exactly are you saying that they're trying to do when you talk about giving free health care to them?
I'm so glad you asked. Okay, so when we passed the One Big Beautiful Bill, the Working Families Tax Cut, we had Medicaid reforms in the bill. You and I talked about it on the air. What we did was to eliminate fraud, waste, and abuse. There were a lot of people on the program who were enrolled in the program who were never eligible to be there. Medicaid is intended for eligible U.S. citizens, not illegal aliens, not also U.S. citizens who are able-bodied workers, like young men. So we passed the law. The president signed it into law. Democrats voted against it, of course, and it's been wildly successful.
What you did was narrow the eligibility for certain people to get access to the ACA subsidies. What they want to do is undo the changes that Republicans made in that. But basically, wouldn't that only affect people who do have legal status, people who are refugee seekers here in the United States, asylum seekers here?
Those are two totally different issues. Now, they've created this as a new argument that they have as to why they should not keep the government open, but they're arguing a December policy debate for a September funding issue. The subsidies that you're talking about don't expire until the end of December.
No. Those are the subsidies for just everyday Americans. That's one thing that obviously has been the main premise of their argument. But you're saying they want to give free health care to people who are in the United States illegally.
That is exactly what the effect will be.
But when I looked at it, there's a little nuance because they want to undo changes that y'all made, narrowing who is eligible to get that. Those are people who are refugee seekers, asylum seekers. They're not technically people who are here illegally, just cross the border.
Bing, 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 bing. There you go.
He's not even a good liar.
That's the lie that Republicans are making. They're making the claim that Democrats want free health care for illegals. That is a lie. Caitlin Collins just made him out to be the fool that he is. Those that are refugees that are seeking asylum by law in the United States of America are not considered illegal aliens, as Republicans would say. That is a lie. And every single time Donald Trump, J.D. Vance, Mike Johnson, and any other right-wing buffoon out there says, well, this is the Democrat shutdown. This is what they did. By the way, we
never asked for a shutdown, by the way. Hey, sorry to interrupt you, but the possibility of a shutdown was discussed by the Democrats. What they said was, let's talk. Let's try to get this. And I would agree that they had some leverage because we have to, there has to be a continuing resolution. That's the only leverage they're going to have until December 31st. And I would agree that this is the time to make the stand. But they never said, I want to shut down the government. What Trump said was, it might be a good thing. That's what he said.
And here's a little caveat to this as well, because I'm sure Mike Johnson cares about his own constituents, right? Well, guess what? 25,000 of his constituents are about to lose their health care coverage. 27,000 more are about to have their premiums skyrocket. And a 60-year-old couple in his district would be paying somewhere around $19,000 more a year for their health care coverage. But Mike Johnson doesn't want to talk about those statistics. They want to lie to the American people. They want to blame Democrats. Let me be very clear on this. If I thought that Democrats were responsible for this, I would admit that on the air.
And me too.
It's not their fault. You can blame Democrats for some things. You can't blame them for this shutdown. Oh, yeah, and by the way, guess when we had the last government shutdown? Back in 2019. And guess who was president then?
Three times.
Yeah, wasn't Joe Biden.
Trump shut down the government 3 times, one time for 35 days, and they almost didn't recover from it. And it was for money for the wall to separate United States from Mexico, which he never got the money for anyway.
So for my very special MAGA defenders out there, or MAGA supporters,
I hope they call in.
Other choice words that
Please let them call.
There's other choice words that I could use for some of you. Let me try to spell it out for you again. and I'm going to try to speak very slowly so some of my special MAGA friends maybe can understand. Undocumented immigrants have never been eligible for Obamacare subsidies. That would include Medicare and Medicaid. That's not what Democrats are trying to do. As Caitlin Collins pointed out, as I pointed out earlier, they are trying to undo the changes that were made by Republicans that could affect refugees and asylum seekers that are not considered in this country illegal immigrants. Okay? Illegals cannot receive premium tax breaks in the ACA, which include Medicaid. It's very, very simple. Republicans are lying. Why won't the media hold them to account? I don't know the answer to that.
They're afraid.
But they are lying. It is a bald-faced lie from any Republican out there that is saying that Democrats want, this is their shutdown and they want to give health care to all illegals. That is a blatant lie. I can't speak any truer than I am right now. They're lying. Who are they lying for? They're lying for Donald Trump. Maybe some of them are lying for themselves so that they can remain in power. The fact of the matter is that it's a lie. And I can play you Caroline Leavitt earlier today, spewing the same lies that Mike Johnson put out there. J.D. Vance, the vice president, lying to the American people today. The same lie. Oh, they want to give illegals free health care. It's a lie.
Can I add something to that?
Yeah.
So Virginia has the second most public federal employees in the United States. I don't know if people know that. So they have the second most, and they have elections coming up in November. Did you know that?
Yes, I did.
They did. They have governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general. So if they have the second biggest population in all of the United States, could this backfire in Virginia? I think it's going to be a really good test to see if this is going to backfire, and that might be the first place it backfires.
Certainly possible. Now, I spoke a little bit about this yesterday, about this fake AI video that Donald Trump put out there, which obviously is a racist video that showed Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries in a sombrero hat with Mexican music playing in the background, and Chuck Schumer obviously saying things he never said that are racist in nature. Even the blacks won't be voting for us. Anybody with a brain who is not a racist would say, boy, that's really awful. And I know that there are some Republicans that are upset about this, but they're talking behind closed doors. But the excuses that Republican leadership are making for this video,
Vance.
they think it's funny. Let me start with Mike Johnson. So Mike Johnson was asked about this by George Stephanopoulos. And listen to what Mike Johnson says is an excuse for this racist video that the leader of the free world put out there.
Let me ask you about President Trump. He had another deepfake video overnight. How does that help the cause of getting a deal and opening the government?
Look, the president uses social media for humor. He makes jokes. He does lots of things. What the president did in showing leadership, though, 2 days ago, was he brought in Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries to meet with me and Leader Thune in the Senate to try to work this out. He gave them unlimited time they had in the Oval Office, and they would not come to the table to do exactly, George, what they themselves have said repeatedly over and over and over.
Notice how Mike Johnson completely steps over the question, and his excuse is, oh, it was just a joke. Donald Trump is just showing his sense of humor. By the way, when is being racist funny? Can somebody please answer that to me?
That was no joke. If you run into a theater and you yell fire and all the people get up and run and you get arrested, you can't say, I was just joking. It was a joke.
Well,
some things are not a joke.
I agree. And Wolf Blitzer on CNN yesterday, or I should say earlier today, asks Republican MAGA moron, Representative Lisa McClain, the same question, and listen to her answer.
When President Trump posted a second AI-altered video on social media depicting the House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, wearing a sombrero with a mustache. Jeffries has slammed the post, in his word, calling it racist. Is this an appropriate thing to do for the President of the United States to be issuing a post like this? Should he take the videos down and formally apologize to the Minority Leader?
Listen, the president sure can get a laugh and get a rise out of the Democrats with his social media. I don't think that's anything new to to anybody. What is sad in this situation is what the Democrats are doing, though. And where the Democrats need to apologize, quite frankly, is that they're holding the American people hostage. That's what we need to focus on. We need to focus on the American people and what is best to continue to move our country forward for the American people. That's what we all need to be focused on right now.
Oh, so it's just funny. Have a sense of humor. Since when is it okay for anybody, let alone the President of the United States, to be racist and somehow it's funny?
It was racist and it was childish. And for her to defend him, in my mind, means that she believes it's okay. That it's okay to just make fun of other races, make fun of the minority leader of the House of Representatives of the United States. This is not two schoolyard kids making fun of each other. This is very serious. And for her to defend it, quite frankly, it's un-American and it's embarrassing.
This is why, for years now, I've called it a cult.
Yep. Exactly
because
right.
back in the day, there were good Republicans in office, even though I might have disagreed with them on a number of different issues, that would admit openly that this is wrong, that the AI video that Donald Trump put out there is wrong, and it's racist, and it's beneath the presidency. Now, there are some Republicans behind closed doors that were not happy about this, but they will not speak publicly about it. They will only speak privately about it. And the Republicans that are speaking publicly about it are defending Donald Trump. Caroline Leavitt defended it today, said it was funny. J.D. Vance defended it today, said it was funny. You've just heard from Mike Johnson, the good, wholesome Christian that he calls himself, that thinks it was funny. And then Representative Lisa McClain. Well, I don't think it should be news to anybody that, this was just a joke. It's just a joke.
Well, they said the same thing about when Trump said he would stop the war in Ukraine and Russia within 24 hours.
That was a joke.
And before, that's what they said.
Sarcasm.
That was no joke. He said that to get elected. That was part of his platform to say that I can stop all these wars. And by the way, I don't, maybe somebody can fact check me on this. I believe the 7 wars that he's talking about, none have signed a treaty. He might have stopped the fighting or he might have had some influence. Most of them say he had nothing to do with it, but I don't think any of them have signed a treaty. So is that really a war that's been stopped with no signed treaty?
No, I mean, it's
a lie, right?
Of course. I mean, everything that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth is a lie. So where are we at right now as a country? Well,
dictatorship.
We're in the middle of a government shutdown where Republicans are in charge of the House and the Senate, the White House. They're the ones who did this. All Democrats were trying to do were to make sure that American citizens still have access to health care and Medicaid that they need. And all they were trying to do were make sure that refugees and asylum seekers could get the help that they needed. By the way, not considered undocumented immigrants. This has nothing to do with illegals getting health care. Every time a Republican says that, remember, it's a lie, and the Republicans are lying. So while we're in the midst of a government shutdown, we have Donald Trump, who's now threatening to send troops to Portland, saying that these troops will be getting training on the job.
Saying that he's glad people are suffering. Is that not dictatorship?
Of course
talk?
it is. Of
is
course,
that not? I mean, is it just me?
Of course it is. And then we have...
I'm glad people are suffering.
And then we have these new numbers that came out in regards to our economy, which leads us nothing else to believe that we are headed towards a recession. Prices continue to rise. The war in Ukraine is still worse than it's ever been. There is no peace in the Middle East. What are you guys happy about? What are you happy about? And this comes within a week after we had the Charlie Kirk memorial service where Donald Trump's saying he hates half the country.
But isn't that typical MAGA? Aren't they glad that the other side is suffering, even if they have to suffer with them, even if it hits them harder than the other side? I don't understand that mentality, Brian. I think it's really twisted. It's really like kind of a cult, brainwashing. I don't know what it is, but how can they take joy in the other side being suffering and they have to suffer with them, but it's okay?
And they call themselves,
they say that's okay?
They call themselves the pro-life party. Make no mistake about it. They only care about a human being when it's in the womb. The second that that baby is born, they're against basically every government program that can help that mother raise that child. They certainly don't want health care, and they don't care if many
no
of their,
vaccines.
They don't care if
no food assistance.
They don't care if any of
they
their
don't believe in any of that.
don't get the health care that they need. So they are not pro-life. And they are lying to you. And I repeat myself once again, every single time in the next coming days, maybe even weeks, where a Republican blames Democrats and they say Democrats want to give illegals free health care, remember, that is a blatant lie.
That is not accurate.
It's literally in the statute, which says illegals cannot receive premium tax breaks in the ACA and Medicaid coverage. It's in the statute. They are lying. And then when Mike Johnson is pressed on it, he says, well, this is what could result in the future. There's no evidence that that would take place. It is a bald-faced lie. The Republicans are lying. So for all of you people that voted for Donald Trump, that work for the government, that will not be receiving your paychecks, you have nobody to blame but yourself because you voted for this.
38%.
You voted for this.
It was a small poll. It was only 500 or so people, but it showed that 38% of the government employees voted for Trump. How do you think they feel now that they have no paycheck? And they said most of them are not going to come back. They're going to get fired, which means, because as you know, at the end of a shutdown, you get a check to pay you back for your furlough. Yeah. But if you get fired, guess what? You get nothing. You get zero.
And make no mistake about it. We always hear when something goes wrong, Donald Trump would say, would have never happened if I was president. If Joe Biden was still president, this government shutdown does not happen. And if Kamala Harris had won the presidency, this government shutdown would not be happening. It's happening because Donald Trump is president. The Republicans are all a bunch of cowards with no backbone. They're lying to the American people, blaming Democrats when it's nobody's fault but their own. And they want to take health care away from millions and millions of Americans, including those that are not considered undocumented immigrants, those that are seeking asylum, migrants that are seeking asylum. It is a lie from the Republican Party. Mike Johnson, J.D. Vance, Caroline Leavitt, Donald Trump, and every other MAGA Republican that's doing interviews that wants to blame Democrats, make no mistake about it, they are all lying. And folks, if you're not smart enough at this point to understand that, it probably is a good chance that you're in the MAGA cult and you are clueless. We are going to take a quick break. He is Leonard Cardinale. I'm Brian Shapiro. When we come back, we're going to be joined by a good friend of mine who has been making the rounds on CNN, on Cuomo, just destroying Scott Jennings, and he happens to only be 22 years old. The awesome Adam Mockler from Midas Touch is going to be joining us next. We'll take a quick break. Adam will be joining us next. It's Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP.
Hey everybody, are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eater is a knockout. We're located at 467.
In getting there.
All right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Wednesday. Very busy news day in the midst of a government shutdown. And things don't seem to be headed in the right direction. Quite frankly, they haven't since Donald Trump took office for the second time. Programming note for you. I don't know when this date will be, but I'm going to be flying out to do the Tim Pool show, so that should be interesting. Cool. We're still trying to line up a date. So wow, sitting there debating Tim Pool, that that should be very interesting. Well, I got to tell you, I've been on Piers Morgan probably 30 or 40 times. I mean, I've been on there a lot. And one of the most enjoyable moments I had was to be able to be on the panel with this young man who is doing such a phenomenal job. You see him all over the place now.
Yeah,
you
Adam
see him,
he's a beast.
Chris Cuomo, you've seen him on CNN debating and destroying Scott Jennings, Penn Ferguson, and others. The awesome Adam Mockler is joining us right now on the program. Adam, it is good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Thank you for having me, Brian. Glad to be back.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here, man. Boy, there's so much to get to with you in a short period of time. Let me start with this. We've been talking about the lies from the right that are claiming this shutdown happened because Democrats want free health care for illegals, where it's literally in the statute where that can't happen and it won't happen. What do you make of the lies being put forth by the right making these false claims?
It's desperate narrative control. Right-wingers constantly want to drive attention by saying crazy things and then use that attention to control the narrative about quote-unquote illegal aliens wanting healthcare. But as you said, it doesn't work that way. It's by definition illegal. It genuinely does not work that way. Democrats are simply demanding an extension of Affordable Care Act subsidies, premium subsidies, and Donald Trump essentially wants to enact a Trump healthcare tax that raises the cost of healthcare for some of the most vulnerable Americans. So you see them out there posting these crazy AI videos. Donald Trump, in desperation, not only posted a video of Hakeem Jeffries that was AI and Chuck Schumer that was AI, but a few days ago he posted that MedBed AI video. You guys saw that? And Caroline Leavitt and JD Vance during their presser today spent like a quarter of the presser having to answer for Trump's AI videos that he doesn't clarify are AI. So it's insane that we're barreling towards a government shutdown and they're desperately trying to control the narrative. I think that we need strong leaders out there really hammering home the truth. And I see that from the Democrats at times, but sometimes I'm disappointed.
Did we lose some audio there? Adam, did we lose your audio? I think we might have lost some audio there.
No, I just said sometimes I'm just.
There you go. You're back.
Sometimes I'm disappointed by the Democrats.
Yeah, I am too, as at times, but I don't think we certainly can't blame them for this government shutdown right now. But I do agree with you. Sometimes I'm disappointed in the Democrats as well. What do you make? You mentioned this AI video, Adam. What do you make of JD Vance, Caroline Leavitt, Mike Johnson in response to it? Oh, it's funny. It's a joke. It's humor, which I find despicable because I don't think racism is funny in any way, shape, or form. What do you make of their response to it?
Obviously, the racism is despicable, but as I was saying on CNN, there's a larger problem here where Donald Trump has this plausible deniability where he can say something insane, then always put the clown nose back on and say, oh, I'm just joking. I'm not actually the president of the United States. When his quote unquote jokes are like tweeting at Pam Bondi saying, I want you to target this opponent. I want you to pull this show off the air, Brendan Carr. And then we see it happen. It doesn't seem like these are jokes, but it's annoying how his supporters endlessly hide behind these jokes. Meanwhile, if AOC made a joke and she like misspoke during it or something, this would be a 3-week news cycle where Democrats are stirring up violence. But then Donald Trump can on a daily basis say that Chicago needs to be invaded by the Department of War, but that's a quote unquote joke somehow. So just to bring it back, the fact that they go out there and they try to run defense for the president by saying it's a joke is expected. That's their job, is to run defense and spin. But it's just a disgusting indictment of where our politics are, that they're saying that he can just joke about everything.
Unfortunately, yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I think it's despicable. You know, I wanted to ask you about some of your CNN appearances, and I think you always do a great job. Let's start with Scott Jennings. I just think he's so smug. And it seems like these people on the right, they want to attack you because of your age when you just destroy them with facts. And Scott Jennings did that. Ben Ferguson did that to you. I'm wondering, do they even talk to you off the air? Do they shake your hand, and are they different off the air? Do they say anything to you when the segment is over? Or are they those same people and they treat you the same way off the air as on the air? Like, let's start with Scott Jennings, for example.
He's affable. I'd say he's an affable person. And you said you're debating Tim Pool in a few weeks. You'll find that when you walk in, everyone's affable, everyone's nice, but when you're debating, you don't really pull any punches. But yeah, the age thing, a lot of people in the audience, like the right-wingers in the audience, think that I was trying to say in that CNN debate that because I'm 22, I can't be held accountable for anything, or that I'm trying to avoid accountability. But that's actually not the point I was making, obviously. It's that you can't hold me and Donald Trump at the same standard, or nearly even similar standards, yet it seems like I'm held to a higher standard than the president. So I'm like, I'm not going to apologize for anything when Donald Trump is clearly doing this. But overall, all I'll say is that everybody's pretty affable behind the scenes.
That's good. That's actually good to know, because when I see Scott Jennings or Ben Ferguson with that smirk on their face and how condescending they are at times, it makes me believe that that's who they really are. So you're telling me when the cameras are off, they're actually quite friendly and cordial to you?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, that's good. Good to know that. What about Kevin O'Leary? I mean, you kept on bringing the economy up with him and how so many people are struggling. And all he kept doing was talking about the stock market. All he kept doing was talking about the market, and you exposed him for being the boob that he is. I mean, what was that interaction like for you, sitting right next to him and having that conversation?
That was my first time on, and it was pretty solid. I mean, he's also nice. He's somebody who, it's interesting, a few weeks later, I saw a video of him giving business advice, like a few years back when he was a bit younger. And he was like, the best time to be invested in your business and put all your time is when you're in your early 20s. And then he did this whole thing about being in your early 20s. And I was like, this is so weird. He's actually giving salient business advice. But a few weeks ago, he seemed to be completely ass backwards on tariffs. A lot of these people are just beholden to the talking points, but they are nice behind the scenes. I mean, you've been to the Trump rallies. And I understand that these people are like, you look around and you're like, this is brainwashing. But I'm sure you've also been to the Trump rallies and had experiences where you go to like buy a water and you're like, this is actually quite a sweet person right there. So it's this weird, of course, yeah, it's this weird dichotomy where like people are nice. They're usually a little bit brainwashed. Kevin O'Leary was also nice. I was surprised at how much he kept returning to the same talking points. I think that, you know, being in your early 20s and being sharp has its benefits, I guess.
Yeah, I think it has quite its benefits. That's why you're doing so well. I wanted to ask you, like you're saying that they're cordial and they're nice off the air. Why do you think it's an act? Do you think like a guy like a Scott Jennings or a Ben Ferguson actually believe what they say, or do you think it's one of those things where they're just a talking point, literally a walking and talking point for the Republican Party? How do you see them? Are they genuine with? Do you think they actually believe what they say?
I think that it's really just like the Marco Rubio effect, where a lot of these center-right conservatives who for decades have had, you could argue rational positions, like you could disagree with them, but Marco Rubio at the end of the day is pro-NATO, understands that Russia's a bad guy, and oftentimes was just wacky on abortion, healthcare, and a number of other issues. You know what I mean? Like it's something that you could actually argue with. I'd say most of these people would rather be taking those positions, taking more normal positions, but that doesn't really get you in with the base nowadays. So they want to be in, and politics is at the end of the day for power. In order to gain power, you need to have a base, and there's a base to play to. It's the MAGA base. So I think that they're overall just playing to that.
I wanted to ask you, you've been on Newsmax before, and you debated this young guy who is flying in these private jets, who some have said the new Charlie Kirk protege, for lack of a better term. He's taken a lot of flack. And like I said, you've debated him. I'm like, what do you make of him coming from an extremely wealthy family, flying these private jets and talking about middle America and people that live paycheck to paycheck? What do you make of him?
Yeah, I've been following this dude for a while. Here's what it is. He's had this lifelong dream of being like the next Charlie Kirk, but he just doesn't have the quote unquote juice. I don't think he has the debate ability. I beat him in a debate on Newsmax, I'd say, even though the moderators had to step in. He doesn't have the overall self-awareness to not post a photo in a private jet. And when Charlie Kirk died, I think he immediately saw it as an opportunity, whether it's you want to view it cynically or just a young dude who didn't have self-awareness. He immediately viewed it as an opportunity to hop in Charlie Kirk's shoes. And I'm assuming they made connections with Turning Point USA. Turning Point said, okay, you've got to follow him. We can send you across from campus to campus to campus. And he didn't realize that him posting in sort of a gloaty way saying, look at this tour that I'm on, look how cool it is, was going to be his downfall, because he posted a video of himself in a private jet when Charlie Kirk, you know, at the end of the day, I've been saying this to a lot of people, watching Brylan Hollyhan do this makes you realize Charlie Kirk did have self-awareness, and he had at least some sort of juice that Brylan Hollyhan just does not have. I'm not saying Charlie Kirk was right on anything, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm just like, he at least had something. He had something that he was able to build.
I tend to agree with you on that. It seems as though in the last several days, he might be just going away. That Turning Point USA might be distancing themselves a little bit from him. Do you get that sense?
I'm sure they're going to if they're smart. The conservatives are rejecting him en masse. And honestly, that's incredibly brutal. He's had this vision of himself for 10 years, stepping into Charlie Kirk's shoes. He gets the opportunity and he squanders it. It's kind of brutal. I saw some tweet that was like, can this kid please just return to being some low-level staffer who sends out snarky tweets? He shouldn't be the face of the movement. And I was like, yeah, true.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Moving forward now, Adam, where we're at with this government shutdown, how long do you think this government shutdown will last? And what do you think will be the next excuse from Republicans? Because the excuse that they're giving out that Democrats did this and that they want to give free health care to all these illegal aliens, that's obviously a lie. What do you think will be the next excuse?
As far as the length, it's really hard to tell. I don't want to throw out predictions and then be entirely wrong. I mean, government shutdowns can end swiftly with a resolution if the Democrats come to the table and Chuck Schumer ends up doing something. Or, I mean, this could prolong if the Republicans really want to take advantage of it and if Russell Vought continues to enact his plan to fire these workers, which doesn't even take that much time. But it could go either way. I'm assuming Trump deep down wants to fix it because he doesn't want this to look bad. But Republicans will jump from excuse to excuse and they'll use their culture war issues. So, I mean, honestly, I don't see them pivoting off of illegal immigration. When the next excuse comes, I'm sure it'll be targeting some sort of vulnerable group that they've been targeting to try to convince whoever's listening that it's not their fault, despite them bragging they had a mandate. They said over the past 10 months that they had a mandate over and over and over. We have a mandate from the people, yet they can't use that mandate to fund the government.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. If you're just joining us, Adam Mockler from Midas Touch, he's everywhere. You've seen him on Cuomo, CNN, Newsmax, and I did a show with him on the Piers Morgan show. So speaking of Charlie Kirk, Adam, I did the Piers Morgan show last week, and I was debating Riley Gaines and Jillian Michaels. And Riley Gaines says elected Democrat officials are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. I called her a liar. She couldn't name one Democrat that actually is celebrating the death. But don't you find that she's not the only one? There's a lot of people on the right that are claiming Democrats and elected officials are celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. I can't think of one. Can you?
No, there's none. I even asked Grok this, and because some conservative was like, prove it. So I was like, Grok, name one. And Grok said, there are none. And the conservative said, don't use a mainstream Democrat source like Reuters. Use a left-wing source or right-wing source. So Grok then only used Fox News and like Newsmax, and it still said no Democratic politicians or mainstream Democrats celebrated it. Even the edgy people like Destiny weren't celebrating. They were trying to make a broader point about rhetoric. But okay, so I something that bothers me and that we need to find a fix for is I don't know how we exist in this political environment when Donald Trump is constantly ratcheting up the tension and we are constantly somehow supposed to take accountability because Donald Trump, over the past week, he's posted AI videos of the other side, AI videos of med beds. Last month, he posted an AI image of Chicago being invaded. This dude is constantly saying the most insane stuff about Paul Pelosi, about Democrats being evil. And somehow, just because of these high-profile shootings, the assassination attempt number 1, assassination attempt number 2, doesn't matter even what the political leaning of the shooters were. Most Americans simply see it as left-wing shoots Trump. And then Charlie Kirk gets shot. Doesn't matter. They just see it as left-wing shoots Charlie Kirk, even if this kid had no coherent ideology. So most Americans currently think violence is coming from the left when Donald Trump is the one who continues to ratchet this up. And this was actually like the CNN interaction I had with Scott Jennings. I proved that in real time that they hold us to different standards. But we just have to continue to hammer home these Trump points that people are desensitized to, that he's tweeting this and this and this. I have a conservative friend who just 2 days ago I saw him and was like, can you believe Trump tweeted that about Chicago? Like, you don't defend that, right? And he was like, I've never seen that tweet. I didn't even know that happened. So I just don't know how these high-profile cases can only be seen on one side.
Yeah, and as you said to Scott Jennings, he held you to a higher account than he does the president of the United States. And as you said, wait a second, I'm a 22-year-old YouTuber. Yeah, you have a huge platform because you're very good at what you do. But it's just so strange where they care more about what Jimmy Kimmel says than the president of the United States. And it's just very odd and very strange why they do that, Adam.
I'm also more responsible with my platform than Trump is with his. So if you do want to hold us to the same standard, I win 10 out of 10 times because I didn't post an AI video of political opposition this week. I didn't post an AI video of a fake medical invention this week. I didn't post fake AI images without caveating that as the president of the United States. I'm very responsible with the way I do stuff. Even Jesse Waters over at Fox News, this dude said like he declares war on Democrats. Trump says he declares war on Democratic cities. They use this crazy rhetoric, and then AOC like sneezes on the House floor, and apparently that's World War III.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I have to ask, when's the next time we're going to see you on Abby Phillips? What's next up on your schedule? Because you're all over the place.
Not sure. I'm hoping that they invite me back. I really do. I'm super grateful for their team for number one, taking the chance on me in the first place. There was no reason they had to have a 22-year-old on debate Kevin O'Leary, but they decided to have me on to take a chance. And then they invited me back multiple times and gave me the floor to speak about algorithms and to say things and give my perspective as a young dude who a lot of young men are lost right now. So, I mean, I really am grateful for them in the first place. Don't know when I hop back on, but I'm always excited for it. I am hopefully doing some work with Jubilee soon. We're starting our own debate show in Chicago. I'm doing some work with, I did a debate with the Daily Wire called Bar Fight in Nashville. We were in Nashville on the Broadway Strip. You ever been there?
I've never been there. No, I've heard about it.
It's pretty wild. And we did this thing where there was 50 MAGA supporters in the crowd, all, yelling at me, and I had to debate them back. But I'm just waiting on a release date from the Daily Wire. They're going through it because of Charlie Kirk, which I understand.
That's pretty awesome. And I've said this a million times about you, and I've said this, Democrats in general need more younger people that have voices like you. That's one of the reasons of many why Donald Trump won. Because he got the younger vote. We need more people like you out there. And I'm so glad that these national networks are getting you on their shows because we need more of it, quite frankly. I'm sure you would agree, the Beasleys of the world, people like you and others. We need more people like you out there speaking out.
Well, thank you for having me on the show. Yeah. And thank you for having me on this show as well. I think younger people need to have a voice, especially when we need new cats in the space. It's hard to watch it's not even about age, honestly. When I say new cats, it could be like a Bernie Sanders who's progressive or a Zoran who's young, but it could be any of these people who are even in their 50s, 60s. We just need like new, fresh voices. And it is nice to have representation that has unique perspectives, especially on the Democratic side. We need some sort of shakeup that's akin to what happened when Trump shook up the GOP. And I know that's a controversial remark, but we obviously clearly need a shakeup.
Yeah. Oh, no question. Please tell your new friend, Scott Jennings, I said hello next time you're on a CNN panel. Adam, I love what you do. You do a great job, Midas Touch, and there's a reason why you have an enormous following. I cannot wait to be on a panel with you again soon. Hopefully Pierce Morgan again down the road, because that was fun destroying Jack Posobiec, having you in my corner there. So appreciate it, Adam. Always appreciate it, the time when you do this show, and proud of what you're doing, my man. You deserve it. Keep up the great work, okay?
Thank you, sir. It is always a pleasure, and I love to check in here. We'll chat soon.
Thanks, Adam. Good to hear from you, my friend. The very busy and talented Adam Mockler, everybody, from Midas Touch. It certainly is an honor having him on the show. I've been interviewing Adam for years, by the way, and he has just blown up. And the reason why he's blown up is because he's very, very, very good at what he does.
Very smart.
Very smart, very talented. And I've asked him the question before if he would consider ever running for office. I don't think that's something he wants to do, but he's great.
You got to be careful. You run for office, you can't necessarily say what you want.
That's true.
People have asked me quite often, and I say, you know what? I'm just a say it like it is kind of guy. I don't really see me doing the political thing. So
that's true. That's certainly a good point. That's true. But Adam's one of my favorites. We have Ron Filipkowski on the show every week from Midas Touch. He's also one of my favorites. We have Joe Walsh on the show. We had Joe Walsh on the show yesterday. The Mooch hopefully is going to be joining us on the show later this week. These are people that I admire. These are people that I think are and by the way, they're not all Democrats, people that I admire.
And he shut down some pretty well-known personalities. Scott Jennings, Ben Ferguson. They're pretty, they're pretty consistent with their message. And he went in there and didn't know what they were going to talk about except for the subject matter. Yeah. And he not only held his own, he had Scott Jennings kind of blinking, and you could tell he was trying to think of what to say next.
It's so funny because somebody in the chat, normally I don't read the chat consistently, unless it's a super chat, which we will get to. But somebody in the chat said, I think Brian is jealous of Adam Mockler.
What?
It couldn't be further from the truth. I am so happy for Adam.
That had to be that had to be a MAGA.
It's so ridiculous. First of all, Adam's a great guy. He's extremely intelligent. He's talented, and he deserves it. I'm so happy for Adam. I only wish that was, I don't think I would have been capable of it in my early 20s doing what he's doing. I'm so proud and happy for Adam. There's not an ounce of jealousy. So anybody that would make a claim like that, it's just absolutely
it's a
ridiculous.
very close. You guys all pull for each other.
Absolutely.
Everybody on the Midas Touch and Ron Filipowski.
Absolutely.
And even the people you have on the other side, it's still a respectful, close community, and you guys
Certainly
all
with
help
Adam,
each other.
I mean,
out.
Adam's retweeted my stuff. I've pushed out his stuff. Not that he needs my help because he has such a huge following. Destiny's been great to me. I've made friends with some great people. Don Lemon has been fantastic to me. We all work together, and I'm very proud of the circle of friends that I have in this industry. I'm very humbled by it. Some people that I grew up with watching on television, I've become friends with, and it's really
I don't see a lot
really
of jealousy
cool.
and bitterness between everyone. It's
It's
more like, hey, be on my show, and then you go on their show,
Yeah.
and it's almost like Kimmel and Stephen Colbert and Jimmy Fallon. They don't compete. They're all on the same page.
If CNN had any brains, or an MSNBC, they would give Adam Mockler his own show.
He should be on a panel at least.
I would give him his own show. I think he's that good. And there's nobody that would be more happy for him than me. And I'm ecstatic on, what he's, excuse me, what he's been doing. All right. Excuse me. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to open up the phone lines now. And it doesn't matter whether you're a MAGA supporter or not.
Hopefully some Republicans will call in.
Well, here's the question that I'm throwing out there for all of you as we open up the phone lines, which is 702-221-7283. Again, that number is 702-221-7283. We're in the midst now of the first day of this government shutdown. Who do you blame? I've made it pretty clear. Leonard's made it pretty clear on who we blame. If you're a Trump supporter, I'd love to hear from you and defend this. And why do you blame Democrats? And why do you believe J.D. Vance and Donald Trump when they say this is the Democrats' fault? So we're starting to talk about this government shutdown and the lies being put forth from the right. We're also talking about these weak numbers that just came out. Negative 32,000 private sector jobs for September. That is atrocious. That's a terrible
Can I mention that in October, those numbers will be adjusted also. And I believe when they're adjusted,
might be worse.
I think they're going to be a lot worse.
Yeah.
I think those are the preliminary numbers.
I tend to agree with you. Completely agree with you on there. So we're also talking about those abysmal numbers that just came out today. We just had Adam Mockler on the show. And what do you make of MAGA Republicans, the J.D. Vances of the world and others, the Mike Johnsons, that are talking about this AI video, racist AI video that Trump put out there? And their excuse? It was funny. It was a joke. It's funny.
It's got to be hard, Brian, to defend the indefendable. You know what I'm saying? It's not defensible what they're trying to. That has to be so hard because deep down in your soul, you have to know that you're lying. You have to know that you're full of crap. And you have to know that the millions of people who are watching you on TV right now say it, that at least more than half of them know you're full of crap.
Absolutely.
That's got to be hard.
Absolutely. There's no question about that. And every single time a MAGA Republican goes on the networks today, tomorrow, a week from now, a month from now, and they want to blame Democrats for this government shutdown, just make sure you know that they are lying.
They're ruining their credibility.
Yep, I agree.
Every single day, every sentence they speak.
Completely.
When this Trump administration passes by, which it will, these people are going to be left with no credibility.
I want to get to the YouTube super chat, if I may, before we get to the phone calls, if that's all right, because I know there's a lot of people, voices that want to be heard. Britziker says, when do we make the Obama 28 merchandise? That's actually kind of funny.
I'd buy it.
Alexa Gibson says, I did get recertified for my Medicaid, for my other government benefits. I had to give my birth certificate. I had to give my Social Security. Well, yeah, Alexa, you're right. I agree with you. And that's what MAGA Republicans are lying about. Annoyed AF says, technically speaking, the Senate Republicans could eliminate the filibuster and pass this bill without the Democrats' help. That's also 150% true. Dave Wayne says, did you hear loser Pete Hegseth wants overweight people to step down because of being fat and leave the military, we are probably going to war losers. Well, Dave, I agree with you on that one. I guess Donald Trump should step down then, shouldn't he? I guess Donald Trump should step down.
He doesn't feed Pete Hegseth's vision of physical fitness, and he's the commander-in-chief.
Yes.
He's the highest person, so he sets the standard, does he not?
Yep, that's true. MAGA callers are always welcome to call in, 702-221-7283. Let's start off with Johnny. Johnny is first up on PTL. Hello, Johnny.
Yeah, so I'm in Michigan here, and you called Lisa McLean a moron, and she is not, because she is actually my friend.
I don't care if she's your friend. I don't care if she's your wife. I don't care if she's your girlfriend. That has nothing to do with my opinion. Let me ask you a question. Did you not think that AI video was racist?
Fuck no.
Okay, so first of all, you have to watch your language. Okay. So
sorry.
Yes. Okay. So you don't think having Chuck Schumer up there and an African-American man with a sombrero on playing Mexican music in the background and Chuck Schumer AI video saying even black people won't vote for us anymore. Johnny, you don't think that's racist at all? You're okay with the
Do you know what racism is?
Lisa McLean is my good friend.
Didn't ask you about Lisa McLean. Now we're asking you about
that were racist.
We're asking you about the AI video. I could care less.
I have racist friends.
I could care less what your relationship is with her. That's irrelevant, as Leonard just said. How can you say that video is not racist in nature? How can you make that claim?
Lisa McLean has the coolest
Didn't ask
dog
you about
ever.
Lisa. Okay, so you're just going to make
Is he
this
trying
a
to
joke.
date her or something?
So you're just okay. So hold on a second. I'm trying to have a serious conversation with you. Number one, I don't care what your relationship with her. Number two, I don't care who her dog is. I'm asking you a very serious question, which is, are you comfortable with the president of the United States putting out a racist AI video? You claim it's not racist, then that makes you an imbecile. Okay, clearly it was, and it is. And Hakeem Jeffries was correct in saying that. The reason why I called her a moron is because she said it was okay because it was just a quote unquote joke. Are you okay with the president of the United States putting out AI videos that are racist in nature and then saying, oh, he was just joking? Are you comfortable with that, sir? Answer the question seriously.
It's a joke. That's what it is.
I think you're a joke.
No,
Have a nice day,
no,
imbecile. I think you're a joke.
He didn't call to engage in debate and try to make a point. He probably wants to date her, and he wants to be able to tell her, hey, I stood up for you on the radio today. I called in. Okay. I mentioned your name. Yeah. Want to go on a date?
Well, obviously that is not a serious person, and unfortunately, many in the MAGA world are just like that guy who just called in. They're not serious. They're bigoted in nature, and they have no problem with racism as long as they're not offended by it. They'll attack transgenders. They'll attack transgenders. They'll attack brown people. And it's quite frankly despicable. And those are the types of people that got Donald Trump elected. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Brandon. Brandon is next on PTL. Hello, Brandon.
Yeah. Hey, Brian, you're talking about that video again that Donald Trump posted yesterday. First of all, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it is hilarious, and there is a lot of truth in that. They are trying to replace the citizenry because they're losing a lot of their voters. They're just trying to bring in more.
Okay, hold on. Is it okay? Let's start with that hypothesis that you brought up. Since when has it been legal for an undocumented immigrant to vote in a presidential election, sir? When is that legal?
It's not.
It's not. Thank you. Okay, so let's throw away that stupid opinion of yours with all due respect, because if that was the case, it would be legal for undocumented immigrants to vote. They're not. So tell me exactly what Democrats have done to cause this to happen. Tell me. That theory of yours just went right out the window. So give me something else, sir, please.
Yeah. What's your proof?
All right. Well, just let me talk, okay?
I am.
Now, what they've been trying to do is that their policies have been so bad, and they've been losing support.
Which policy?
Just like the border,
just like the border. Just like hold on. No. Just like the border is not a policy, transgender is not a policy. Name me a policy from the Democrats that you think was bad policy. Just give me one.
Probably Obamacare. If we had
okay. So if first of all, if Obamacare was a bad policy, what was the replacement plan?
That gave millions of people health care. How's that a bad plan?
Obviously, I disagree with you, sir. But
what is your proof? What is your factual evidence that was a bad plan? That gave millions of people medical coverage that otherwise could not get it and otherwise could not afford it. That's what Obamacare was all about. How's that bad policy?
Well, the government should stay out of health care. It should be privatized.
The government should
has
stay
no
out of
place
healthcare. Okay, so let me ask you a question then. Since you're a Trump supporter and you hate Obamacare, can you tell me where Donald Trump's replacement plan was? Because we heard in his first administration, I'll give it to you in 2 weeks. I'll give it to you in a month. Where's Donald Trump? Where was Donald Trump's replacement plan for Obamacare if you thought it was so bad and you're a Trump supporter? Can you explain that to me, please? Since you care so much about policy.
I think he got busy
You
with
think
other
it,
stuff.
Hold on. Your excuse for why 9 years Donald Trump didn't have a replacement plan for Obamacare is, quote, I think he got dizzy. Sir, you're not a serious person. I've asked you to name me a policy. You can't.
I did.
No, you didn't.
Yes,
What about
I did.
transgenders?
Obamacare.
What about transgenders is bad policy? What policy are you referring to?
Well, the whole Democrat is like this whole woke mentality. Like,
No, that's not a policy. Hold on a second. That's not a policy. I asked you to name a policy, and you said transgender.
It's your ideology.
What policy? And what's the ideology? Tell me. What's the ideology of transgenders? Tell me.
Well, I mean, the whole woke stuff, like the politically correctness, the pronouns.
I need
the
you to
genders.
be okay. So pronouns
Woke is not transgender.
Hold on a second. Pronouns is not a policy. There is no policy that Democrats have implemented or even proposed.
It's a mindset.
This conversation started with policy, dumbass, okay? So now you're going to give me policies. You mentioned the word transgender. Give me a policy that involves transgenders that you disagree with that was put forth by the left.
Make the argument.
Stop making
allowing them to serve in the military. I don't think if they don't know if they're a man or a woman, they shouldn't be able to hold a rifle or
why you
serve.
think they can't be a good leader? You think they can't defend the country
I think
because they choose to be a transgender person, that they're not committed to the America and the ideals of America and gone over there and fought and risked their lives? You think just because they're transgender they can't be a good soldier? Is that what you're proposing?
I think we need to weed them out because they're confused. I mean,
they're confused. Okay, let me ask you a question.
How do you know they're confused?
Let me ask you a question. First of all, you don't know if they're confused. You're just making an assumption.
Exactly.
What would you say about since you're a Trump supporter, what would you say about somebody that would say you need ID to buy bread? Would you call that person confused? Yes or no?
An ID to buy bread?
Yeah. What would you say about somebody who said you need ID to buy bread? Would you call that person confused? Yes or no?
I would say you're crazy.
Okay, exactly. Well, you voted for a crazy person because Donald Trump said that. Let me ask you something else. What would you say about somebody who said Jeb Bush got us in the war in Iraq? What would you say? Would you say that person is confused? Yes or no?
He has the wrong Bush. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Confused,
Okay,
right,
good.
yeah.
So you voted for the guy that's
Right.
confused. Okay, so let me ask you another question, sir. If you don't mind, if that's okay, what would you say about a president who defeated Joe Biden but said he defeated Barack Obama? Would you call that person confused?
Well, they're two of the same.
No, they're not two of the same. No, they're not. No, they're not two of the same. No, they're not two of the. Nope. You're not going to get away with this. No, they're not two of the same. Donald Trump did not defeat Barack Obama. Donald Trump defeated Joe Biden. They are not two of the same. So I repeat my question once again. They were two different presidents.
Donald Trump did defeat Joe Biden in 2020, but the election
exactly.
was rigged. You just
Okay.
admitted to it.
That's not what I said. What would you say about somebody who said they defeated Barack Obama in the election when they defeated Hillary Clinton? Okay. And this time around, I misspoke. They defeated Kamala Harris. Would you call that person confused?
No, they misspoke, just like you just
did.
they
misspoke. Okay. Well, listen, I'm not the one. Right, but I'm not the one making the case that all transgenders are confused. You're the idiot that makes that case. And now I just proved with multiple.
How does he know they're confused?
Now I just proved with multiple examples that you voted for the guy to be president of the United States who is very, very confused. Yet you don't want people because you claim transgenders are confused and you care what they are. Where's your evidence, doctor? Doctor, where's your evidence that a transgender is confused?
Okay, look, if I look down between my legs and I see my Johnson, look, I know I'm a male. I'm not going to say, well, I'm a female because I want to be.
Why do you care what's between someone's legs if they're willing to risk their life for the country, jackass?
Because
why do you care?
Facts are literally right between the legs.
But if they want to identify as a female and you want to identify as a MAGA, as a shady MAGA, no one's telling you can't identify as a MAGA.
Hold on, I got a question for him. Let me ask you another
question.
Apples and oranges. Hold on. Here's a question that's not apples and oranges, okay? Let me ask you a very...
I know you don't eat them.
We're not going to do the ad hominem attacks now on me. We're going to keep it straight here. Let me ask you another question, sir, and I'll try not to call you an idiot, okay, even though you are. What would you say is more harmful to America, or who do you have more respect for? A transgender that is willing to risk their life for this country because they believe in this country, or somebody that dodged the military multiple times, who said they didn't respect John McCain because he was captured and called brave men?
Off the cuff.
Answer the question. Answer the question.
Can you repeat that?
Okay, sure. I'll repeat it again.
He insulted Gold Star families.
I'll repeat it again.
He made fun of John McCain, and you're okay with that?
I'll repeat it again so my special MAGA friend can hopefully listen. I'll speak slowly so somebody like you can understand. Okay, sir. What do you think is more respectful? A transgender, or somebody that happens to be transgender, that is willing to risk their life for the country honorably and serve, or somebody who dodged the military multiple times, lying about bone spurs? What would you say is more respectful? Who would you respect more?
In this situation, the option A would be, but overall, Trump is more respectful because he's a man's man.
Donald Trump dodged the military multiple times. You just admitted to me that you don't
So did Biden.
You don't want. Really? Where's your evidence that Joe Biden dodged? Where's your evidence that
he took 5 deferments?
There's no evidence that Joe Biden dodged the military. The evidence that I have that Donald Trump dodged the military is he had a doctor. His own family have admitted that their father, who passed away, lied in a note claiming that Donald Trump.
You would have done the same thing.
I would have done the same thing. No, I wouldn't, sir. Let me tell you what I wouldn't do. Okay, let's go through this a little bit. I'm so glad you said that. I would never sexually abuse a woman. I've never been accused of sexual abuse because I've never sexually abused somebody before. I would never crap on our military members, even people that I disagree with, like J.D. Vance, for example. I respect everybody's service to this country. Donald Trump crapped on John McCain, said he didn't respect him because he was captured. I've never had thousands of discrimination lawsuits filed against me because I didn't want black people in my places that I owned in Manhattan. I've never said that I didn't want black people counting my money if I owned a casino. I want Jews counting my money. And I've never bragged about sexual assault. And I've never talked about grabbing women by the genitals. I've never done any of those things, sir.
Can I make a comment?
And I also don't wake up wearing 8 layers of orange makeup every day because I'm the most insecure person on the planet. So no, sir, I have nothing in common with Donald Trump. I'm also not Mushroom Man that lasts 12 seconds in the bedroom either. So no, and I don't pay women for sex either, as Donald Trump paid her $130,000 to keep her mouth shut. So no, sir, I think you have a lot in common with Donald Trump. I don't. You haven't named one policy you don't like. You said, well, I don't like Obamacare, but you couldn't give any reasons why you don't like Obamacare. And then your orange turd leader who you supported said for 9 years there was going to be a replacement plan coming. And your excuse is, well, I think he was a little dizzy. Sir, you are pathetic. And when you call into the show, you make yourself sound like the buffoon that you are. Do you realize how ignorant you are, sir? I guess that's my question.
Brandon, can I ask you a question?
No, you're very ignorant. You're very uneducated.
Brandon, let me ask you something. If someone decides to be transgender, it could be something that's not for you. Okay, I understand that. But can you sit in judgment of that person just because they decided to have a different identity than you can identify with? Because I can tell you right now, that is the shady MAGA movement right there. They judge everybody but themselves. And you need to look at yourself and you need to figure out why you have such disdain for these people, even if they served in the military, even if they risked their lives, even if they fought for the very freedom that allows you to call this show and allows you to say what you're saying.
Well, I mean, you cannot change your gender. You're born male or female. And that,
how do transgenders affect you in a negative way? How do they affect you?
It doesn't affect his life at all.
No, hold on a second. Do you have kids?
No, I don't.
Okay, so I asked you a very specific question. I need you to focus, MAGA, okay? I asked, how does it affect you? How have transgenders in your life affected you in a negative way? I didn't ask you about kids that you don't have.
Or in any way.
Answer the question. How do transgenders, or how have they negatively affect you in any way? Go.
They're corroding our society.
I didn't ask you about society.
That's about you.
I asked specifically about you. Don't make generalizations. You seem to have a problem with transgenders. My question to you is, how have they negatively affect you? Don't make a generalization about society or somebody else's kids when you don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm asking you about your own personal life.
Okay, I'll tell you.
Yeah, please do. I can't wait. Go ahead.
A tranny's lover killed Charlie Kirk, who was a great martyr for the conservative
so first of all, number one, that's not affecting you. Number two,
yeah, it was my hero.
A transgender was not responsible for killing Charlie Kirk. In fact, it's the opposite. This person's transgender boyfriend actually cooperated with the FBI, is still cooperating with the FBI, and helped turn him in with his father. So you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. And it wasn't a transgender that killed Charlie Kirk.
He was anti-fascist.
So I'm gonna ask you again for a fifth time.
Antifa.
I'm gonna ask you again for a fifth time because you still haven't answered the question. How do transgenders, or how have they affected you in a negative way? I'm now asking you for a fifth time, and I'm not going to ask again. Answer the damn question.
You personally. In our society, it's
I didn't ask you about society. I asked you
that's how it's affecting me.
Okay, how? Specifically, how has it affected you as far as society goes? Tell me how it's affected you.
Because society has to accept it, which I don't accept.
How has it? Okay, so where have you had to accept it? How has it affected you where you had to accept it in your personal life? Where you had to say, oh my God, I have to accept this even though I hate it. Where is that happening?
I don't accept it.
Okay, so you just made the point for me, dumbass. You don't accept it. So when you say society forces you to accept it, you just said you don't accept it. So you're wrong.
Is he saying he has a mental or an emotional? Do you have an emotional issue, or is it affecting you mentally? Like it's twisting your mind and getting inside your mind, and it's hard to deal with for you? Are you saying that's how it affects you? That it's like affecting your life without essentially effectively affecting your life? Is that what you're saying?
It's ruining our culture.
Okay, so give me an example. How has it ruined your culture? What is your culture? White supremacy?
The
What
American culture.
White
like
nationalists.
we need to go back to the 1950s where the shit wasn't prevalent. We need to just turn the clock back. 50,
so we should go back. So we should
regressionist. He's a regressionist.
So we should go back to a time when women. Okay, got you.
Yeah.
So we should go back to slavery then?
Not that far. Maybe
not that far.
1930.
Should we go back to a time where women weren't allowed to vote?
I mean, I think we should be voting by households. I mean,
so women shouldn't be allowed to vote. So you're talking about.
I didn't say that.
Okay, well, what do you mean?
Were there no transgenders in 1950? I mean, did I miss something?
Of course there
were. Were there no transgenders or gay or lesbian people in 1950? Because now I'm confused because you're proposing that there were none.
So let's get this right. You haven't named one specific reason how transgenders have affected you in a negative way. You've admitted that you don't accept it. You've said the reason why Donald Trump didn't have a replacement plan for Obamacare, which he's had 9 years to do, was because he was quote unquote dizzy. You couldn't name me one Democrat policy other than Obamacare. And then when you mention Obamacare, you couldn't tell us why you don't like Obamacare. In this entire conversation, you sound like a bumbling idiot.
Oh, and we should go back to we should go back to 1950.
Yeah, we should go back to 1950s. Do you realize how stupid you sound?
But what he's proposing makes no sense because he's proposing that in those times, those people didn't exist. Now they hid and they had to stay hidden because culturally it was more unacceptable, which I think is your point. But am I helping you make your point or did I miss it?
I think it's going over your head.
Oh, what's going over my head?
Wouldn't that be nice?
Tell me what's going on.
Wouldn't that be a first?
Tell me what's going over my head where I've asked you to name specific.
That would be a first.
Tell me what's going over my head where I've tried to ask you specifically how transgenders have affected you in a negative way. You couldn't have, you just made generalizations. You couldn't give me
the mind is like a parachute. It only works when it's open and your mind is seriously closed.
Actually, it's the opposite. Actually, you're the one whose mind is closed because someone who's willing to risk this life for this country so idiots like you could call into the show and have something called freedom of speech.
Brian,
you don't want them serving the country because you're concerned with what's between their legs. If there's anybody that's not open-minded, it's you. You're the one who's not open-minded.
Brian,
I'm open-minded, and I don't care who has
what
between
you're
their legs.
literally asking him open-ended questions. Literally. The questions are open-ended. They're not specific.
You guys are the ones having a fit yesterday about a video that Trump posted on social media.
Yeah, because it was inappropriate. It was beneath the office of the President of the United States, and everyone agrees on that.
Of course you think it was funny. Of course you think it was funny. If a couple of people with Klan outfits did a thing with Donald Trump, you would think that was funny too. Yeah, here I go. You are a white supremacist. You're an ill-informed. Yes, you are. You're an ill-informed.
Go to confession.
Yes, you are. You are a homophobic, transphobic turd, is what you are. That's what you are.
Are you a white nationalist, sir?
I'm a Christian nationalist.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so I rest my case. That's exactly what you are. You're a bumbling idiot. You're a bigot.
Someone's going to have to explain to me the difference
nice
between a white nationalist and a Christian nationalist.
Have fun at your Klan rally tonight, sir. I think you've proved to the world again how stupid you are. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to Chris. Chris is next up on PTL. Hello, Chris.
Hi.
Hi, Chris. What's going on?
Hi, Brian. Hi, Leonard. I just wanted to call and say I really appreciate you guys being on air. I am originally from Seattle and moved to Idaho, and now I'm just surrounded by right-wing people. And it's nice to hear the voice of reason every day. And I had a comment regarding that awful video that the president put out yesterday. It seems like this whole thing is just a complete level of unprofessionalism that's just astounding. You would never see a CEO of a company putting out such blatant, disgusting things. And I don't understand how people can be okay with him doing that.
Yeah, Donald Trump's not a comedian. He's never been billed as a comedian. He doesn't make his money as a comedian. He's not a jokester. He's not an AI expert. And so it's totally inappropriate. I agree with you.
Yeah. It's just astounding to me, and that just his followers, that they think everything he does is just fine. It's like the whole country is just going to hell. It's just an unbelievable mess on a daily basis. Like, yeah, a nightmare that we just can't seem to wake up from.
Unfortunately, it's a nightmare, my dear, that's going to be lasting for another 3 years, but I completely agree with you. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Greg. Greg is next on PTL. Hello, Greg.
Hello.
What's on your mind today?
Hi, Greg.
Hello?
Yeah, go right
You're
ahead.
up.
Okay. You were asking the guy about, how the transgender community has affected him personally. I want to know, how has Donald Trump affected you personally?
Sure.
Me?
In a negative way. You're making money off of him.
Sure. So are you going to let me answer, or are you going to answer for me? Can I answer your question?
Well, I'm asking.
Okay, thank you, because you tried to answer it for me. I made money way before Donald Trump became president. So first of all, how has it affected me in a negative fashion? Well, I've had death threats. And the reason why I've had death threats, and by the way, I've filed police reports about this, is because I speak out against Donald Trump. I did political talk radio before Donald Trump. I never got any death threats. That's number one. Number two, the biggest tax breaks for the top 1% in this country. My taxes haven't gone down. When Joe Biden was president of the United States, I have diabetics in my family. You see, Plan B and Plan D was covered under Joe Biden, which means millions of more Americans were able to get their insulin capped at $35. Donald Trump signed an executive order on day one, going back to his policy where millions of Americans don't have access to insulin capped at $35. Now, I just named you several very key important points, and I will also say on a daily basis, we are more divided in this country than we've been in my lifetime, both racially and politically. There's a lot of hatred out there. There's a lot of vileness out there. So you can go ahead and say, well, Donald Trump became president. He makes you all this money. Dude, I've been doing radio for 22 years. I don't need Donald Trump as president of the United States. I cover the news for a living. That's what I do. So I just named you several things that have affected me directly because Donald Trump is president of the United States. So there you go, sir. I answered your question. Now tell me, how has Donald Trump helped you in the last 6 or 7 months?
Tax breaks. And
tax breaks. Okay, hold on. What tax breaks are you referring to? And how much money do you make per year, sir?
Well, I make enough. We are
No. If I'm going to answer your question, I need to know exactly how much money you make every year. Do you make $100,000 a year? Do you make over $400,000 a year? Do you make over $1 million a year?
If you made over $1 million, you got a tax break. That's the point.
How much money do you make every year?
We're going to be screwed this year because of his stupid tariffs on soybeans. But yes,
there you go.
Absolutely,
tariffs are a tax. There you go.
Okay, well, I'm
glad you made our point for us.
I'm glad you made our point for us, sir. So there are a lot of farmers out there that are losing their jobs.
Tariffs are absolutely a tax.
So there you go. You found something that Donald Trump actually has hurt you on. Can you name me a couple things how he's helped you in the last 6 months, policy-wise? Because I answered your question.
Yeah, make your point. Now
I think you would agree, sir. I answered your question respectfully, and I said, here are 3 or 4 things that Donald Trump has done and implemented that have affected me personally. Name me 3 or 4 things that he's done that have helped you in the last 6 or 7 months, policy-wise. I'm open ears, sir.
Well, he has made the country that I fought for not look so weak by.
Oh, so you made it okay to hate people? You agree with that?
That I used to vote left, and the weakness on that side is
okay.
pathetic.
So be specific. You didn't name me a policy. You made generalizations in saying that he made us stronger. How did he make us stronger? What policy?
He made it okay to hate.
Well, tell me what policy. What has he done specifically? I don't want generalizations because you MAGA people always call up with generalizations. Well, he made us stronger.
Well, anyone can do
He
that.
made America great again.
Yeah.
That's not an answer, sir. Be specific.
You guys do the same thing over on your side.
No, Brian was
Ask me-
very specific.
Ask me any question and I will give you directly what Democrats' policy
Brian
have
was
done to
very
help me.
specific.
Joe Biden, the Chips and Science Act, for example, the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Joe Biden,
And I gave you
no, you didn't.
Those are
No, you didn't.
policies. Those were made law.
These are laws that were put. You can laugh like Tucker Carlson, or you could answer my
You want to
question.
do it? You want to talk about Stormy all the time, you weirdo creep?
Okay, so
Why'd
you
you get
can't.
mad?
Hold on, sir.
No, I'm just telling
asking
the
you.
truth. He don't
No,
want to.
you're
Just
not,
pipe me down.
sir.
Pipe me down.
Sir, I'm asking you to name specific policies. Try to focus for a moment, sir. I just named you more policies that I liked under Joe Biden and the Democrats. I answered your question. I gave you 3 or 4 things how Donald Trump has affected me negatively. I want you to answer the question and name me several policies, not generalizations. He's making America great again.
Or laws.
Give me some policies that Donald Trump has implemented that have helped you. Go.
He has slowed down the border.
He slowed down
because we all know there is
transgender.
man and woman, and that is it. There
So
is
what
no
has he
and,
done
dips, or in between.
policy-wise that has helped you, and how do transgenders affect your life negatively? What has he done policy-wise?
Because this is the country I live in, and this is crazy. We don't have.
I think you're
a middle
crazy.
person.
That's an
You have a-
opinion.
So you're saying it's
I am.
okay
Actually, I
for
am.
men to be dressed
I am.
and not identify themselves and throw ladies
That's
and
different.
grandmothers
That's
on the
different than
ground. So you
transgender.
agree that he should have a private military force going around the country asking people to show their papers and their IDs, and if they speak Spanish, it's okay to stop them. You're okay with that?
They stop that. They don't do that.
That's not true.
What are you talking about? They see
That's
now
not true.
he's dealing
He
in
doesn't know what
fake
he's talking
news.
about. He doesn't know what he's
Now
talking
you're
about.
dealing in fake news, and you're
that's what you always
What
say. That's what I'm
transgender?
dealing with.
Okay,
It's
so
absolutely
let's
a
go
fact.
with this. Hold on a second. Let's back up a second. You mentioned transgenders. And now I said, how has it affected you in a positive way? What policy has Donald Trump implemented when it comes to transgenders that has positively affected you in your life? Because that was the question. How is it affecting you positively? Because you asked me, how's Donald Trump affected me negatively? I gave you specific examples. So tell me what Donald Trump did with
Yeah,
transgenders.
not hyperbole.
Yeah. Go ahead, sir.
Because we have children, and
You have
we
children.
live in a blue city,
Gotcha. You have
and
children.
they don't need to be around that kind of weirdness.
Okay, so
Are they
I mean,
around that
they
weirdness?
know
Are you
there's a
saying
man
the
or
kids are
woman.
around that?
So your kids, you're claiming your kids are around
They have-
transgenders. Is that what you're saying? And it affects them in a negative way.
Well, yeah, they don't want to see that shit.
Where did they see it? Did they
First
go
of
to a
all-
show?
First of all, this is a radio show. Stop swearing, okay, you bumbling fool. And second of all,
I
you're-
didn't swear.
Yes, you,
You
did.
cuss all the time,
Yes,
so
you. No. You're not going to say.
Yeah,
No.
you can. It's a
Okay,
radio show.
Number 2, you're claiming that you have kids. You might not even have them. So tell me what Donald Trump implemented policy-wise that would lead you to believe that your kids in school are not around transgenders anymore. What policy is that, sir?
And you don't know nothing.
Sir, answer my
You don't
question.
know nothing.
Pot him down again.
He
Sir,
can't answer.
sir,
He
I'm
can't.
asking. Okay, so let's backtrack a little bit. Hold on. You claimed that Donald Trump's policy has made it better for your kids to not be around transgenders. Can you please tell me what policy Donald Trump put in place? He hung up the phone. What a shocker.
See, that's
Because
what they do. They
here's
call
why.
names, they get frustrated, and then they
Here's
hang up.
why. Here's why. There is no policy that Donald Trump has put in place that would stop transgenders from going to school. That guy has no idea what he's talking about, and he couldn't name one policy that has helped him. In turn, I named multiple policies under the Trump administration that have affected me negatively.
He said his children were around transgenders. He said, my children are. I was going to ask him, did you go to a show? Did you bring him to a. I mean, where? Where did this happen?
Yeah, so there's no policy put in place that Donald Trump put in there that would stop transgenders from going to school, allegedly being around his kids. Number 2, I want to be very clear on this. This is what usually happens when these fools call in.
Yep.
They hung up the phone. I did not hang up on him because he couldn't answer the question.
Brian, you gave him multiple chances. You gave him open-ended questions and many chances. And this is what they don't understand is that they have a chance. You're saying, call in, make your point, have an argument with me, have a debate with me, make your point. You asked him multiple
Hey,
times,
Leonard,
and he couldn't.
Leonard, you don't know nothing. You don't know nothing, Leonard.
Well, they're ruining this country.
It's so incredible how these
he
cyclops talk.
sounds like a guy that was given the right to hate, and he's happy about it. That's what he sounded like to me.
Just couldn't answer one of my questions. By the way,
I'm surprised he didn't say, well, I'll tell you what.
By the way, anybody can call into this show, as you saw, and ask me a question, and I will answer it specifically. I can give you policies, and I can give you direct examples of how Donald Trump has negatively affected my life. But then when the shoe is turned on the other foot, and I ask him to answer a question about what policies have helped him, he couldn't name anything. All he said was transgenders.
They're not prepared to debate when they call. They just call in with stupid comments. And I
not that-
love the fact that
Leonard,
you say,
I don't think, Leonard, that they're not prepared to debate. I don't think they have the mental capacity or the intelligence to be able to do so. That's my personal
well, they were smart
opinion.
enough to dial a phone.
Well, he was smart enough to dial in.
And he gave his name. We assume he gave his name.
I'm not sure you have to be smart to dial in a phone, but I'll, if you want me to give him credit for
I'm
that.
I'm trying to be positive. He did call in. He spoke in, well, I guess I can't say full sentences because they were mostly short sentences, but that's okay.
That's true.
I speak in short sentences sometimes.
Thank you, sir, for proving what a nitwit you are. Let's go to Jeremy. Jeremy is next up on PTL. Hey, Jeremy, what's up? Jeremy, go right ahead.
Hey. So, Leonard asked a very important question, and I actually wanted to bring light to what he asked, which was the difference between what a Christian national is versus something that Christians preach. And I just wanted to lay out a couple of points real quick for a lot of the people in the audience that don't actually know. First of all, a true Christian, first and foremost, God and the teachings of Christ, often described as a citizenship in heaven, whereas Christian nationals want to blur the line between their national and Christian identity, viewing allegiance to
Jeremy, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have to. We have to go point by point. Are you saying that because they're a Christian nationalist, are you saying that Christians can be nationalists and it's in line with the Christian theology? Is that what you're proposing?
Oh no, God no!
That's what it sounded like.
No. I claim myself to be Christian, 100%,
but not nationalist.
Christian nationalist. No, God no.
Right, because that is not inclusive. Okay, and Christianity is inclusive.
No, and that's my whole point. That's literally the whole point. Is like Christian nationalists. They are not Christian. They claim to be Christian.
You think Charlie Kirk
was the teaching of the Bible.
Was Charlie Kirk a true Christian? You think?
No. Not in any way, shape, or form.
Jesus never preached hate. He never preached prejudice. Nothing.
He didn't want to bring.
I agree with you. I agree with you. What would you say? I agree with everything you just said wholeheartedly. What would you say to people out there that call themselves Christians that support Donald Trump?
They need to really take a step back and actually look at the tenets of Christianity first and foremost. Because me personally, I do not believe that you can actually be a Christian and a Trump supporter. It just goes
because it's a hypocrisy.
The tenets of Christianity. Even all of these idiots that want to, hop up and be like, "Oh well, God used people who sent other people out for murder." No, you're scapegoating because you know what. The individual that they're even trying to claim actually knew that he had screwed up and sought penance right away. Trump,
Jeremy, was it Christian when Trump said? Well, let me ask you: when he said, "I hate my enemies," does that have any Christian overtone in any way possible? I hate my enemies.
No, it speaks against it 100%.
So then, anyone who supports him, you would have to assume, has the same hatred in their heart, or is that too big of an assumption?
I don't think it is in any way, shape, or form. I think anybody that actually follows Trump or follows what he actually believes in any way, shape, or form has turned their back on Christianity and any word or any representation of the book coming from their mouth in and of itself, if we want to use an old term like they like to use a lot, could be blasphemy.
Jeremy, can we have a little bit of levity here? Because I like you. And by the way, there's a reason why Donald Trump doesn't like people like you, because you're a smart guy. I hate to say this, but you do sound a little bit like Mike Johnson. So is there any way that you can do us a favor? Maybe we can use it as a promo and say, "Hi, I'm Mike Johnson, and I'm a fake Christian who supports Donald Trump." Is there any way we can get you to say that?
I think I can.
Okay. The floor is yours, sir.
Let me work on it. I'm Mike Johnson, and I'm a fake Christian.
So is fake Christianity a real thing?
Well, okay,
Mr. Johnson?
That was good, but I want you to add something like, I'm a fake Christian who monitors what porn my son watches.
And I was never on Grindr.
Yeah. You could add that in there too. Let's be a little creative with this, because you do sound like him, even though you're completely different than him, personality and intelligence wise. But go ahead. Okay, let's give you another shot at this. Go ahead, be creative.
All right. Yeah, this is Mike Johnson here, and I just want to let you know I don't even know what Grindr is. Grindr who? Arizona what? And I'm monitoring my kids. Well, that's I got to see what they're into. I got to make sure they're not looking at that tranny porn. Oh, trannies.
Hey, Mike, do you have a porn pact with your son? You guys have a porn pact?
And another thing that I actually wanted to bring up in regard to the
He does sound like Mike Johnson.
He does.
You're freaking me out.
Mike, be honest.
Have an issue with the transgender community is, for one, they're not comfortable with their own sexuality, and number two, they're actually they don't have that emotional depth or knowledge to themselves.
Yeah.
So they see, oh, that's a pretty girl. Oh, that's not a girl. Oh my God, something's wrong with me.
I agree.
Maybe the person just looked pretty.
I got one more for you. Just give me one more here. Hi, I'm Mike Johnson, and I listen to Pushing the Limits because I'm very attracted to Brian Shapiro. Just give me one more.
I think I can do that.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Mike Johnson, and I listen to Ben Shapiro because
Ben Shapiro.
Ben, no, don't do that to me.
Yeah, screw it up.
That's okay. Brian, not
Swing and
Ben.
a miss.
Okay, try it again. Not Ben. I forgive you, sir. Brian. Okay, you were doing so good. Okay, try again. Go
My
ahead.
apologies.
That's okay.
I'm Mike Johnson, and I listen to Brian Shapiro because he is so attractive.
That's good. I'm going to use that for a promo. That was really, really good. You should be a Mike Johnson impersonator, and we should have you on with John DiDomenico, our Donald Trump impersonator, or maybe Alex Jones. We'll work on that. Thank you.
I'd be tempted to. I'm just worried about when they say encompassing a role too much. I'd hate for any of that.
Great call, Jeremy. But can I ask you a quick question before we go?
Go ahead.
Quick question. When we were talking to Brandon and he was talking about trans people, did it sound to you like it was maybe twisting up his mind a little bit and it was playing with his emotions?
I think what it boils down to is the fact that he actually has had attractions for transgender people, even if he was just online looking at porn.
He couldn't give us any empirical example.
Because
he said it was affecting him. Did he not say it was affecting him?
I mean, there's only one way that it would be affecting him without it affecting him.
That's what I think.
That's true.
He's pitching 10.
Jeremy, thank you for being a good sport, my friend. I want you to call in as Mike Johnson
Jeremy.
next time. You're very funny. Thank you, Jeremy, for the call. Thank you for being a good sport. I'm going to use that as a promo.
That was
Mike Johnson's attracted to me. 702. At least somebody.
You couldn't plan a call like that.
702. He did sound like Mike Johnson. You can't tell me he didn't.
All right, it's Mike Johnson.
That did sound like Mike Johnson a lot. Let's go to Will. Will is next on PTL. What's up, Will?
Hey, how you doing, Brian? How you doing, Leonard?
Hey, Will.
Listen, it's really funny. Today has been really crazy with the MAGA callers. There's so many points today with everything going on, but I guess I'll focus on what you guys have been talking about with this latest caller with the religion. Honestly, I think MAGA and Trump himself has been using it as a veil, as a shield, and hiding behind it in terms of, the last thing that Donald Trump, let's face it, is, a Christian that is, a good Christian, let's just say. It's insanity how these people put him and Christianity together, and they use it to their advantage. Like the whole thing, like you were saying before, with the with this ridiculous meme that they sent out. Like, of course MAGA likes it because
no Christian
it's
would do
their
that.
level. No, of course not. And of course they like it because it's their level. They're the low, the scum of society. People that really see what the presidency is and what the gravity is and how presidential someone should be. You would be offended by what that man did.
Well,
That
can
is
I ask you
ridiculous.
something, Will? Can I ask
Yes,
you
sir.
something? So these are Christians, these Republicans and Mike Johnson, everybody. But do you think they read the part of the Bible that says, love your neighbor as you love yourself, feed the hungry, take care of the sick, help the poor? Do you think they missed that part of the Bible? Because if they're Christians, That's part of what the Bible was all about.
I will add, though, they are feeding the hungry in the White House. That's for sure. Just look at Donald Trump. I'm sorry. Go ahead, sir.
But that's overfeeding.
No,
That's different.
They haven't even read the Bible, Leonard, because if they did, they wouldn't be acting this way. They wouldn't be treating the Middle East, everything I can go into, the atrocities that are going on, that him and Netanyahu are planning to do, to pretty much, okay, take this plan, or we're just going to wipe the face of the earth of these poor people that are starving, and you see these children and women dying every day.
Oh, and they're blowing up the buildings, and they will not allow the food to be brought into the Gaza Strip. That's not Christian.
No, of course it's not. Thank you, by the way,
Thanks,
for the
Will.
call, sir. I agree with everything you just said. 702-221-7283. There's somebody on the line named the Trump Reaper, so gotta speak to the Trump Reaper. Hello, Trump Reaper. How are you?
Hey, I'm pretty good, thanks. I'm curious, the No Kings protest on October 18th, I'm in like the Los Angeles Long Beach area, and I'd like to know how to get in contact, with some of the people who are organizing this stuff, because I looked on Google, I looked on Facebook, and all the other stuff from past rallies, and I'd like to know if I could hook up with some people for this one, some people in the Los Angeles area. I'm severely disabled.
I hear you, my friend. Unfortunately, maybe somebody in the chat or somebody could give you the information. I just don't have it in front of me because I don't have the contacts for that, sir. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, sorry I couldn't help you, my friend. But I do appreciate your call, and if I do hear anything about that, I will certainly let you know. The Trump Reaper, ladies and gentlemen. Interesting.
Don't fear the Reaper.
That wasn't what I was. That wasn't what I thought I was going to get in that phone call. All right, who are we going to next here? Let's go to Kevin. Kevin is next up on PTL. What's up, Kevin? Hi, Kevin. Are you there?
Yeah, hi.
Go right ahead.
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
Good.
All due respect to the transgender argument, and the fact is, Brian, if you take transgender, illegal, and Joe Biden out of the argument, there isn't any. It's the three things that they're going to go to every time, as if we don't have bigger problems of our government being taken over. Our institutions being run by loyalists.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, you have the economy and you have immigration they would go to, but I agree with what you're saying. It's kind of fuel for the MAGA base. It's red meat for the MAGA base. And anytime they mention transgender or the lunatic left, it's automatically they're excited and ginned up and ready to argue. But the problem is when they call the show and Brian gives them examples of laws that have been changed, policies, and all they want to do is talk in hyperbole and non-specifics.
Notice how you also, every single time somebody calls into the show and they have a problem with trans people, I ask them, how has it specifically negatively impacted you? And they can't name me one thing because they're imbeciles. Like, I can tell you there's a lot of things that Donald Trump is doing that is affecting me. I have friends that have families that have been deported, that have lived in this country for decades. They are struggling. I know people in this country, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has directly affected.
Military veterans.
Yes, I know veterans
elderly
that have been
people,
affected.
elderly friends.
Like,
yes.
I could give you on and on specific examples of how Donald Trump's policies have harmed people. And yet when MAGA callers call into the show, they can't say anything policy-wise that has worked for them personally, that has helped them. And then they want to talk about transgenders.
Ruining the country. That makes no sense.
Yeah. Exactly. To me, what's way more scary is hearing a president address our military and calling his political opponents the enemy.
Yeah.
That's scarier than any transgender argument you might have. It should be. It should be scary.
Couldn't agree with you more. Couldn't agree with you more. And I've talked about that. And he did it at Charlie Kirk's service. He's called people like me the enemy within, members of the media that criticize him.
What Donald Trump did was he gave some angry people who had some hate in their heart and were misguided. And he pointed his finger, Donald Trump pointed his finger and said, you have those people to blame.
Yeah.
Those people are messing your life up. And you know what? They were more than happy to just believe it with no facts, no circumstances, proof.
Isn't that lowering the temperature? Unbelievable. 702-221-7223.
Oh, but we have to lower the temperature, right?
Yeah. The Democrats have to lower the temperature. Let's go to Jason. Jason's next on PTL. Hi, Jason.
First of all, I just want to say, remember, Big is strong. October 1st, I'll never forget it, especially coming from New York, 9/11.
I agree. I was working that night, by the way. I did work that night.
Yeah, my wife saved me because usually I was a cab driver, and I love to go to Mandalay Bay on a Sunday night because that was always a place that popped. And my wife told me to stay home, and I did. And we were watching 48 Hours, and at the end of the show, October 1st comes on. So my condolences to all. I just want to say to Vegas, my condolences to all the families that lost, because we still ain't doing nothing about gun control. People are still walking around with AR-15s and can shoot up a school and churches. So my condolences to every family member that lost somebody or got injured or maimed. My heart goes out to you, because
I want to add something. I want to add something to what you just said, Jason, and I appreciate you bringing this up. I want to make it on a national scale here level. Donald Trump flew in here, spent a couple hours here at the hospital for a few photo ops, and he dodged town. He said he was going to do something when it came to bump stocks, totally switched his opinion on bump stocks after having a meeting with the leader of the NRA. Donald Trump did absolutely nothing. Jason Aldean did a concert here. And after Jason Aldean did a show here, he went to the hospital for a few hours and he dodged town. Jason Aldean has done more for Charlie Kirk in the last few weeks than he did for over 58 people that lost their lives that were fans of his at his own concert. That says all you need to know about who Jason Aldean is. Try it in a small town. And Donald Trump. They've done nothing to help the people of Las Vegas. They've done nothing to help victims of all the violence in this country. And yet people look up to Jason Aldean as some sort of hero. Let me be very clear. Jason Aldean is the opposite of a hero. He's done nothing. He didn't come back here and do a charity concert in Las Vegas. He didn't. Every single time he's come back to Las Vegas, he's been on tour, and it was for himself and for his own.
That's
he didn't
why
help anybody.
That's why he stopped using the 1 October in his statements, because it wasn't working for him, because people realized he didn't really have the compassion for the people. You know, there were people killed right on the stage.
Yeah.
Right near the stage.
Yep. Jason Aldean pranced off that stage. He didn't make an announcement. He didn't tell people to do anything. He pranced off that stage. He went into his little trailer and never came back to Vegas to do anything for charity. That is who Jason Aldean is, and that is why he is a Donald Trump supporter. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Let's go to the UK. Let's go to Paul. Paul, what's going on, man?
Hi, Paul.
Hi there, Brian. Hi there, Leonard. Hi. Just a brief comment about the video. I reflected on this, and I'm kind of pleased he did this, because Hakeem Jeffries needs something up his backside to get him to move into action.
I would agree with that.
Before this video came out, whenever I listen to that guy, he's playing the game from 10 years ago. He thinks he's still on the same.
He gives a great speech. He's a great orator, but he doesn't talk anything about leadership or direction or what's the plan, but he gives a great speech.
Yeah, he's an intelligent guy. Don't get me wrong. I've been told, but there's something. You need something else. You need the Gavin Newsom type stuff now. This is not normal politics, and you need a different type of fight in you to fight. I mean, Trump's in our faces every half hour, and I don't.
Paul, can I ask you something? Do you think Chuck Schumer is up to this challenge? Because I think he's old school, and I think it's time for somebody to step up. But who would it be?
Oh my God! Come on,
you got Amy Klobuchar. You have people like that. But who would really step up in his place? They won't let a young person do it.
You've Chuck Schumer. I mean, I don't know whether it was it seems like forever ago, but a couple of months ago, he was leading this chant, "Fight, fight, fight," or something. When we fight, we win. And I was cringing.
Yeah, he said he wrote a strongly worded letter to the president. That was his. That was his push.
I know. The strongly worded letter gets very worrying when they start talking like that. And Trump to Schumer is as Putin is to Trump. If you see what I mean.
Oh yeah, they're definitely simpatico. They're just like each other.
Yeah.
I don't think that Hakeem Jeffries or the regime that's controlling the Democratic Party is going to give up power anytime soon. And, I'd like to see AOC step up, Jasmine Crockett, very intelligent, very smart women. But I don't see them ceding power to anybody, and I don't know what to do about it.
I completely agree. And the thing is, when you see someone stand up to Trump, he's got nothing, because he's a coward. He's such a coward, this guy. And I'm not saying that just to, sometimes you say about people, like you're
He's a bully. He's definitely a bully.
He's just a bully. He's the playground bully. And the minute you see someone eyeball him face to face, the guy's got nothing. When Gavin Newsom did that to him at the airport, intercepted him, I think I said this before, and Trump came to the microphone afterwards, there's none of this Gavin Newscum and none of this stuff, none of that bravado anymore. He was as meek as a kitten. He was nothing. When somebody stands up to him, he's nothing. When the people stand up to him, he's nothing. When you get politicians stand up to him, he's nothing. He's a coward.
You make a good point, Paul, as usual.
Well, he is a coward. I mean, he's lived his entire life as a coward, and he will continue to until the day he dies, I would imagine.
A complete cat, and the most un-American, unpatriotic person on the planet.
Yeah, because Americans, they like civil rights. Americans like people to have protection against search and seizure. Americans are willing to fight for what's right. So when you say the word un-American, I happen to agree. That's fairly accurate.
It's accurate. And what freaks me out is that America was formed in direct contravention to a British king. That's why America didn't like the idea of being bossed around by the British.
That's why they left, because of tyranny and oppression and fascism. That's why they left.
Mad King George. They left because they didn't want to bow down to a king.
Paul, I don't know why. Go ahead, Paul. Finish your thought.
Yeah, I was just saying that. And now you've got all these MAGA lunatics who are doing exactly. You might as well have cut out. Why did you waste 250 years? I'd say.
When they say they want to go back, they want to go back to how it was in Britain with a king. That's what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Speaking of kings,
and we tried that out for a long time, and we stopped it. By the way, we tried that for a long time, and we stopped it. We found out it wasn't a good idea because we really experienced it. Americans got the idea quickly. I'll give you that. You came up with it quickly. Now you've gone back.
I agree.
The guys, you've got another mad king in charge.
Before I let you go, Paul, is there any way we can? We're doing impersonations today. Is there any way I can get an Ozzy Osbourne impersonation from you?
I used to do a bit of a Mick Jagger.
Well, Mick Jagger would work. Go right ahead.
Yeah, I don't really like Donald Trump. He's a bit of a git, and as far as I'm concerned, when we wrote Sympathy for the Devil, it was about him.
What about when you were on tour and if you saw him in person, what would you do? Would you give him a boot?
I'm trying to think of I'm a big Stones fan, actually, so I'm trying to think of the appropriate song.
Start me up.
There's a million. They've written a million songs, and I can't think of the right one.
Well, call back tomorrow. That's the beauty of this show, Paul. We love you. Call back tomorrow.
Thanks, Paul.
And then we'll ask you to give us a little bit of Mick Jagger, and we'll interview Mick Jagger. I'm in the impersonation mood today,
We got some good ones.
702-221-7283. Let's go to Barbara. Barbara's next on PTL. What's up, Barbara?
Okay. All these homophobic people and whatever, I had to go to the social services in my state today to renew for my food stamps. So whenever they talk about people that are getting assistance or getting food stamps, I have to jump through hoops to get this, and it's important to me. But this morning when I got the packet that I was supposed to fill out, there was a last page that was optional, and it really concerns me. They wanted my gender identity, and they had 2, 4, 6, 7 things, and I could decline if I wanted to, but it said the following information is optional and confidential. It is asked to make sure that's okay. But I found this all very offensive, and why are they keeping statistics on these individuals? I did not understand that. I mean, I've got friends that are gay, I've got family members that are lesbians and gays, and just this, I wanted to decline to answer, and then my other inclination was to give them all frivolous answers. So it was very concerning to me when people say what's happening in our country, and then I see a form like this that they're keeping track.
Barbara, they're tracking everything. That's part of what Elon Musk did with Doge, and they want to know everything about people. And I'm sure eventually there'll be a statistic that says, you know, we have this many transgenders on the SNAP program, and we have this many bisexual people or gay people on this SNAP program. And then at some point, if they get enough power, they could decide to maybe limit how many of those particular people, the people they don't agree with or don't like, don't get the same benefits. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. That's what it sounds like to me as well. By the way, anybody who wants to support independent media and support what we do, pushingthelimits.live, you'll see that little icon on the upper left portion of your screen. Use your phone for that. It'll take you right to our website where you can make donations, $5, $10, $20 a month, whatever you can afford. We greatly appreciate, and it helps us keep the lights on here. We also sell PTL merchandise on the website as well, pushingthelimits.live. We also want to thank Jackson's Bar and Grill, great sponsor of the show, located at Flamingo and Jones. They gave out some beautiful watches yesterday. Unfortunately, I didn't win
missed
one.
it. We were in a meeting, so we didn't go.
Unfortunately, I didn't win one. But they have such great promotions there, including when the NHL regular season starts, the Pass the Puck contest, where you could win free slot play just for playing.
Big hockey fan.
Just for playing, and after the Knights score a goal at the end of the period, if you are playing and you hit a 4 of a kind, if you're the last person to hit a 4 of a kind before the period ends, you're going to win free slot play. So check them out.
Let's go.
For more. Pam on the YouTube super chat says, teach respect at home to understand other people, love and look differently, and you won't have trouble when you see them in public. Well, I hear what you're saying, Pam, but I can tell you when people are carrying Confederate flags, it's very difficult to not have trouble with somebody like that. But I understand what you're saying. 702-221-7283, by the way, is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. Let's see, who are we going to next here? Let's go to Jeff. Jeff is next on PTL. Hey, Jeff, what's up?
The way I look at this is that Hakeem Jeffries should sue Trump for like $5 billion for defamation of character.
Okay.
You know, that way maybe Trump can calm down a little bit, know that he can get sued as well. The other thing is that why don't the blue states keep the ACA or Obamacare, and then we just cancel out all the red states from getting any federal aid at all? You know, they get all the red states got most of the Green Deal. They got the, they're getting all the AI investment from the federal government, and yet they're always saying, well, they don't want the federal government aid, and yet
Jeff, Trump controls the subsidies, so there's no way that he's going to continue subsidies to the blue states and not the red states. That I just don't see that. I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I tend to agree with Leonard on that one. Appreciate the call, Jeff. Thank you. Love my Las Vegas locals. Let's go to Miss Johnson. Miss Johnson's next up on PTL. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Miss Johnson. I'm about to say, hey, Miss Johnson. So screw that. So my thing is, I'm going to be real quick because I know you're about to end the show. No, they don't read the Bible because the word says you hate the sin and not the person. And then another thing, number 2, if these people are no relation to you, what are you worrying about it for? They're not your children. What are you worrying about it for?
Well, that was Brian's point. Brian was trying to get them to say, just like you said, what are you worried about it for? Tell me why. Tell me how it affects you. How did it make a difference in your life? And you know what, Miss Johnson, they had nothing to say.
They don't know anything. And they need to read the Bible and read all of more than one paragraph.
Thank you for the call, Ms. Johnson. We're running up against the clock here. Let's try to get to as many as we can. Let's go to Steve. Steve is next. What's up, Steve?
Hey, how you going, Brian? Calling from Australia. Just want a couple of questions. All these ICE agents that have been hired to go around and round up illegals, like once all the illegals have been round up, what happens to all these people? Where are they going to end up? That's one of the questions I've got.
Good question.
And secondly, the whole MAGA movement and what's happening with America. I see like religion in your country plays a massive, massive part in how people live their lives and their belief system. Like, that's something that's very different in Australia. Like, we don't have this. Religion is part of every part of our life. You know, schools, offices. You know, it just doesn't exist in our society, and I think that's a big deal as well. We had a situation here where the like the sort of fringe religions, like Pentecostals, have tried to make inroads into politics, but they've been very unsuccessful. They've sort of been shut out because in Australia, like less than 30% of people identify as a religion, and I think that's another problem I see in America. Religion sort of seems to be interwoven into every part of your society.
Yeah, those are really good comments and questions. And to your first point, where do all these illegals go? Well, we know that some of them are going to very high security.
Well, Donald Trump
dangerous prisons.
He introduced an executive order that said that they don't have to go to their country of origin, so he can send them to Honduras. He wanted to send some to Africa, if you remember, Rwanda and Libya. And so we don't know, and the families often don't know either.
Yeah. So please call back again. Thank you for listening out of Australia. We appreciate you.
We should have had him say something.
We should have had him do an impersonation. Dungaroos. You don't just eat. You remember that?
What's going on in bloody America? I don't understand it.
I love Australia.
If it wasn't for Brian Shapiro, we wouldn't know what to do.
We got to do more impersonations. That's for sure. Thank you for the call, my friend. I appreciate you. So tomorrow on the show, Leonard, I'm going to have a duke it out debate.
Yes. Let's go.
There's a MAGA Republican who does a podcast, and you might have heard of those two MAGA fools that showed up at University of Tennessee.
Yeah, that was
with the DEI,
with the race baiters.
Yeah. So there's a guy on social media that says I'm wrong and that they were right and they didn't do anything wrong and they deserve to be there. And I was getting into it with him on social media, and I said, "Why don't you just come on the show and we can do this on the air?" And he agreed to. So that's going to be an interesting on-air discussion debate tomorrow. You're certainly not going to want to miss that.
How's the mooch looking?
It looks like the mooch is going to hopefully be joining us on Friday. Just trying to confirm that with him. Appreciate Adam Mockler for joining us. I love Adam. He's the best.
Follow Adam Mockler. You won't be sorry.
Yeah, he's got plenty of followers already, but a couple more wouldn't hurt. But he's very popular on social media for a reason, because he's very good at what he does. Leonard, always good to see you again. We'll see.
Yeah, that was fun today.
Yeah, we'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. Please check out the website, pushingthelimits.live, and we will see all of you same time, same place tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Are you struggling to find a pizza place that reminds you of Brooklyn? That true blue New York style pie? Well, worry no more. Stallone's Italian Eatery Pizza is a knockout. We're located at 4